Hello, this is Andrea from OurDayDream, back again with another awesome podcast. This week we have Angie Leyda. She is one of the event directors for the Kingdom Come Festival. And so I hope you enjoy. Without further ado, here is Angie.
But there's so many people that have their life has been so dark, and a lot of the rock stuff can connect with them. They feel, oh, this person understands, and this person went through what I went through, and they still love this Jesus, and so for us, it's more important, even if it's more difficult to get sponsors. I mean, we can't, it's very difficult. I don't say we can't, God can, but it's very difficult for us to find sponsors for this event because businesses and organizations don't want to really mess with it too much because it's Christian. And then Christian, the churches and stuff don't really want to do anything with it because it's rock. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Glad to have you.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
So this is Angie Leyda, which is one of the event directors at KCF, Kingdom Come Fest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am the event coordinator.
All right. And for those who don't know, what is Kingdom Come Fest?
Yeah, it's craziness. That's what it is. Awesome Jesus love and craziness. So Kingdom Come Festival is a 2.5 day now Christian rock festival. It is really focuses on rock, which is different from a lot of the other festivals. A lot of the free festivals, I should say. KCF is free to attend, free to park, free to camp, primitive, but the purpose of the weekend is just to show the world what God's love is supposed to look like versus some of the other people that label themselves Christian and don't really act like it. This is a chance for us to, like I said, show what God's love looks like, and also to introduce them to Jesus. This is our, little party. Just we want to make sure that happens. We also want people. I said the other day, our goal is not to corral and convert. Our goal is to just have that introduction to Jesus and make sure that every person that walks onto the grounds for the festival leaves feeling loved, encouraged, hopeful, and at the very least, we planted some serious seeds because there's a lot of ministry that goes on, outreach ministry that goes on at KCF.
Yeah. But you guys also have different genres there as well, right?
We do. So like earlier in the day, we'll kind of bounce between rap and pop and punk and some CCM and the more mainstream stuff, because this is a rock focused festival because there really are not very many outlets for rock, real rock, Christian rock. We also want to make sure that there's a net for every fish. Not everybody likes the rock, but we want to make sure that there's something throughout the day that can connect to everybody that comes onto the fields.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like I said, it's rock focused, but we do have the other stuff.
Yeah,
it's all great.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you think about K-Love and stuff like that, like I not that I'm aware of, is there radio for rock besides internet usage? So yeah.
Now there's one, I'm glad you mentioned that. I need to contact somebody. There's somebody I met when we were at Winter Jam, I think. And they said locally to where the festival is, they're going to start a rock radio station, like an actual. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I need to call her.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've spoke about it in many podcasts before. It's like, I didn't know that there was such thing until I accidentally went to a Disciple concert. And I was like, oh,
you accidentally went?
Yeah, like I thought that it was a different type of music. Like I didn't know that there was a such thing as Christian rock music.
Right.
I was out of the Christian world for a long time, and so I was kind of I didn't know anything about it, and so I decided to start a Christian events mailbox to just kind of like share out the different genres because I think it's important because there's a lot of people that listen to rock music. They're Christians
Yeah.
because they don't understand that there's awesome Christian rock music that's encouraging. There's people out there that don't know that that exists.
Right. And so many people, Christians that know it's out there, and the music, they won't even pay attention to the lyrics. The music, they connect right away to the secular stuff, and they won't even listen. And that to me is mind blowing. I mean, the reason it'd be really easy for us. It'd be a lot easier for us if we wanted to focus on the CCM stuff and the things on K-Love and all those other radio stations. And we don't want to do that. I mean, they already have so much. And I love that music, and it's wonderful, and it's necessary, and it's edifying to people that are already in the body of Christ for the most part. It can be outreaching, but there's so many people that have their life has been so dark, and a lot of the rock stuff can connect with them. They feel, oh, this person understands, and this person went through what I went through, and they still love this Jesus, and so for us, it's more important, even if it's more difficult to get sponsors. I mean, we can't, it's very difficult. I don't say we can't, God can, but it's very difficult for us to find sponsors for this event because businesses and organizations don't want to really mess with it too much because it's Christian. And then Christian, the churches and stuff don't really want to do anything with it because it's rock. And that doesn't really appeal to their attendees and stuff. And so this is the most trusting. I mean, this is a big festival, and not as big as the others, but it's getting bigger every year. And we have to have complete trust that God is just going to take care of the finances, because we've tried every kind of fundraiser there is. And it comes from places we could never have even dreamt to ask,
It's a God thing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He wants to make sure. Yeah. He wants to make sure every year that we know that, we'll be the hands and feet. We'll get it organized, and then we just hand it over to God. He's got to finance it, and he wants to make sure that we know that this is his. He's doing it, which is fine with me. I trust him.
I think it's incredible too that you guys are throwing that free of charge. So it's like nobody is turned away, no matter what their financial situation is. They can come and get hope and encouragement.
Oh yeah. Well, and I guess I can't really speak for Jay and Chris, who are our co-founders, but for me personally, as long as I'm helping in the capacity I'm helping, it will always be free.
Yeah.
It will always be free, because if this is an outreach festival, a non-Christian or a non-believer is a lot less likely to come and check out a Christian rock festival if they pay for it.
Yeah.
But if it's free, I mean, we've already heard countless stories about people who had no intention of coming, no intention of meeting this Jesus dude, and didn't want anything to do with it, but they had a friend who just was really wanting to go see Decipher Down or Disciple or The Letter Black or whoever, and so they just went along because it was free. Didn't have anything else to do that Friday night or Saturday night, so they went and they found Jesus that night. They were saved that night. And had we charged money, that wouldn't have happened. Yeah,
that's so good.
Which is another reason why we have to trust God for the finances, because we don't charge anything.
Right. And I've seen people go to the Christian rock concert that would be cackling and laughing at the beginning until the end. They were like had their arms up in the air and was like complete submission to what had happened. And it's incredible to watch that and to see that. But also what's awesome about Christian rock is a lot of times they're going to like the secular events too. So they're hitting people by actually going to them, which is, it's cool.
Yeah, that I really love that. And I'm really a big fan of that. If it's somebody who's really strong in their faith, and because if you get yourself in the wrong situation, it can, the opposite effects of it. We had, so one of our, nope, it's no surprise to anybody that are probably our best friends. If a ministry can have a best band friend, would be the Protest. And they were doing some shows in bars and stuff. And someone who had been helping with the ministry called me one day and said, do you know that the Protest does this? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, then I can't be a part of this, because I can't, help an organization that allows them to, play in bars and stuff. And I said, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but we are all for it and think they should be out there. I mean, you got to go where the fish are. You can't, like you said,
you're not going to find them in church.
You can't help people that don't, and they're not going to come to a church, in most situations. So, so then it wasn't that long after that this particular person was with us at a Protest show. And my brother, our co-founder, introduced this person to Josh Bramlett, the lead singer of the Protest, and said, there you go, you can have a conversation. And by the time Josh explained what they do, why, and what they've been through in these bars, having beer bottles thrown at them, and not wavering on their sharing the gospel, that man was so apologetic and just jumped on again with volunteering full force, because he didn't really understand the value of it and how it could work. And so we like that.
That's incredible though. I never thought about it that way. It's like the scrutiny that you would get too while you were doing secular events. Like people can be pretty mean.
Well, as long as you're still sharing the gospel. I mean, and it's not, it's like I said, we're not fighting against flesh and blood. I mean, the enemy doesn't want anybody in that bar to hear that word.
Absolutely.
So he's making it, he's working overtime right now, making it tricky for people to stand their ground and do what they need to do, for sure.
Yeah. So when was it founded, KCF?
Well, the first year was, oh gosh, I'm going to say this wrong. I want to say 2010, because we're about to have the 14th year, I think. So you count 2010 in there and it equals, I think this will be the 14th year. The first year it was just Chris and Jay. And they had, it depends on who you ask, but 8 bands in 8 hours or 6 bands in 6 hours. I can't remember. I wasn't involved in that first one. My uncle and my brother Jay were in a band. My uncle is a songwriter, Chris, and they had a band called Strange Reflection, and they had gone to Cornerstone and they had met some other bands and really had a great time. Well, then fast forward, my uncle works at a local factory. My brother was working in a security role at the local high school. And they were getting all these stories about what these kids were doing, taking their clothes off for money on Skype. Wasn't going to study for the Spanish final because, I'm just going to sell drugs when I get out of school anyway. So no big deal. And then they decided that, they wanted to do something. They just didn't know what and how. And that's when the first Kingdom Come Festival was birthed. It was to kind of address all these youth and the outcast and, this whole subculture of people that didn't really have anywhere to go and anyone to connect with. So they started the first Kingdom Come Festival. And Jay, I'll tell you, it wasn't really a hit. There weren't very many people there, but the lead singer of the band at the time, News from Verona, his name was Josh Randolph. He just fed, all kinds of encouragement, said, I can see this. I can see how many people are going to be here, in the future. Just keep going. And we did. And then the next year, I jumped on to help out. And then my husband, Dave, is our technical director, and he jumped on. And then it's just kind of taken on a life of its own since then. We had it in downtown Kokomo for about 5 years, and then kind of get the boot. We were told our music was too loud, which was kind of ironic since we used the same sound company that the city used for every other event in the week. But that's all right, because what ended up happening was we connected with the Vietnam veterans, and we love them. I mean, we love them so much. And now we can have camping. We couldn't have camping before. So now we just make it a fun little ministry weekend full of love, and it's awesome.
So you went from like 6 or 8 different bands to how many do you have this year?
Don't quote me, but it's over 50.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's over 50 between the 2 normal days, Friday and Saturday, and then we've added the KCF kickoff again. So while the main stage is being set up, we take over the redemption stage and have some bands to kick off the festival. So between the kickoff, the main festival, and then the redemption stage, having bands 2 days, I'm pretty sure it's over 50 bands.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth.
Yes.
How did you end up getting involved? What started you deciding to put yourself in?
I don't know if it depends on who you ask, if this is a good thing or not a good thing, but I just thought it'd be kind of fun, and I tended just take over. I apologize to anybody who has found that a bad trait in me, but I do. As soon as I just get involved with it, I don't know. And I've taken the gift quest and personality tests and stuff, and and I'm getting older now, so I just know that I was made to organize. I mean, God, my purpose is to organize stuff, whatever it is. And I just kind of did, and then it's just, I found this, oh gosh, I don't know how to explain it. This joy, this peace about doing it. And then when you see the what happens after the events, and you hear the stories and stuff, and knowing that I was just even a little tiny piece of that, making, helping that person find Jesus, or giving that person the encouragement they needed to, give up the addiction, where it's not me personally helping, to provide a scenario where that could happen, was just, it's just really mind-blowing and humbling. And I just loved that it turned into, this is the way this is how I'm serving all of those people that I don't know, that I've never met, but it's my purpose.
Yeah.
And so they got stuck with me, and then they turned me into the mouth of the ministry. And so I'm the one that has to talk all the time. I don't love it, but I'm good at talking. So okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's easy to, I think, overlook that. It's the impacts that you make. You just don't know how people come in and how they left and who they're going to impact after that. I mean, I have a storyline of 17 years of atheism. I'm sure the guy that prayed for me the day that I found the Lord again, that he wasn't expecting me to then go out and spread the good word.
Right.
And the atheist that ended up coming back to God in the midst of me going out and spreading the word. I was once an atheist, now I'm found, and so we just don't know how far that's going to travel, even this one person. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I love about this. I mean, our Kingdom Come Festival is just our cornerstone event, but our ministry is Always One Ministries. And that idea, the name of our ministry came from the idea that no matter where you're at and what you're doing, there's always one person that you can reach out to, and and it's all about the one, and the shepherd went after the one, and it just takes one. Billy Graham was one, and the impact that he had, and so you don't know, when you find that one and you introduce that one to Jesus, you have no idea the domino or even snowball effect of that one.
Yeah.
And so every every single person that comes onto the grounds is the most important there. We want them, every one of them, to feel like that. And we've had one of my favorite stories that we got, or emails we got after KCF, was this man who brought his son. He said that he didn't really know what to expect, but that once they got there, and this is a short version, once they got there, it was like being at a family reunion for a family they didn't realize they had yet.
Yeah.
And that is amazing to me. And so we want everybody, and we do hear that a lot. We hear some other stuff sometimes too, but mostly So it tells me that we're kind of on the right path with it, you know?
Yeah. It's so
And
cool to see like the Christian rock and stuff, because whenever you'll go to concerts, no matter where it's at, it's like everybody's getting together like it's a family reunion.
mhm,
Like they haven't seen each other since the last concert. And it's like, oh, it's so good to see you,
yeah,
and it's so cool to see the families that each, rock band actually has that will like
yeah,
follow them around, and they're just dedicated.
yeah, it's great. And what's funny to me, or what, not funny, but is really interesting, our philosophy with the whole ministry and stuff kind of tweaked or changed just a little bit. It's always obviously about the attendees, but we started realizing once we got into this and got to hear the stories of the bands, and the not great situations they can end up in. Sometimes they don't get fed, sometimes they don't get paid. They're sleeping in their vans in the Walmart parking lots and stuff. And then it just kind of shifted to, it's equally important to us to take care of them while they're
Yeah.
with us, because if they're not having their practical needs met, it's going to be a lot harder for them to do their job spiritually,
Right.
and God can see them through and all that stuff. But in our minds, that they are the disciples. They have left their families, their homes, and they're walking into literally God knows what when they leave their homes. And we want them to know that when they're with us, that we will love them and we will take care of them and we will feed them. And we've heard from actually several bands now that they needed KCF because of that. It reignited things for them. It filled them up so that they could go on and do what they needed to do. That probably is right now in this moment, probably more precious and humbling to me than a lot of the other things that we have them come, so they can pour out to these other people. And yet, knowing that we can help refill them.
Right.
is
We all need that.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool, actually. That makes me happy. And so we've actually had, I've had a story from one band who, it's been a few years ago, but we had asked them to play, I think at Pit Fest maybe, and they were on their way, and one of the band members said, should we stop and get something to eat before the show? And the other band member said, we're going to an A1M show where they're going to feed us. I'm not worried. And that, made me feel good that they knew they don't need to worry about it. They're going to get taken care of. They're going to get fed and stuff. So I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can tell you, like, I know a lot of people that faithfully go to different festivals and stuff, and they just love KCF. Like every time that like they'll go to other festivals and stuff, they're like, Andrea, like you really need to go to KCF. Like you're gonna love it there. It's such a great festival. Like if you think this is good, wait till you go to KCF.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that faithfully go to different festivals, but still like there's just a different, and they'll state it that there's just like a different energy about KCF, and it's more family oriented, they say.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say we don't have like a bunch of bounce houses and all that stuff, but it feels like family, and it has this family reunion feel for the attendees and the bands. And I love that. And I love that people have said that. And that just really warms my heart too, that, that people want to be there with us, and they're not wrong. I mean, there's something about, the Vietnam Veterans Grounds is where we have this, and they have labeled this area the healing fields, because there's a lot of healing that happens for them, with what they went through in Vietnam. And then also we've got Desert Storm veterans, and so there's other veterans out there, and it's there's just, I don't know, I can't really describe it other than every year, as soon as I step onto those grounds and we begin the process of setup, and especially when the festival's going itself, I just feel, I don't know, it's weird, like drenched in love. Like if I could wear love, that's what it feels like. I mean, I feel love for everybody out there, and it's just, it's God. It has to be God. He's there, we do, we like to quote the Toby Mac song, Steal My Show. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but basically we set the stage, and then we pray that morning, and then we hand it over to God, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, the last year, and I know this is why the enemy ended up giving us the boot from Kokomo, if I'm being honest, but the last year we had the festival in Kokomo. I had run into our camper. Our camper goes with us, and that's like our KCF office. And I'd gone into the camper, and Trevor Hyde, our skateboarding beatboxing minister, was on the stage. And I came out of the camper, and Trevor was on his knees on the stage, and pretty much everybody else in the park was on their knees also. I mean, it was the most beautiful, surreal scene I could have imagined coming out of the camper. And it was beautiful. And then that segued into what my brother refers to as the tsunami of the Holy Spirit, because after Trevor did his thing, Josh, the protests were on stage doing their set, and this homeless woman went up onto the stage in the middle of the set and looked Josh right in the face. And then later I found out that she said something like, "I'm scared to die." And Josh stopped the set, just completely stopped it, got on his knees and prayed with her right there. Just stop. And all of the other protest guys went and laid hands on her, and any other band member from other bands that was sitting back there, they all went and laid hands on her, and she was saved right there on that stage in front of all those people. And they could not have cared any less about the music at that time. And that's exactly what we want for this festival: ministry first.
Right.
And you can find pictures of that online, because we post it all the time, because it's beautiful. And then after that, Tank, Adam from 9 Lashes, did a little impromptu altar call. And then the next thing we know, the whole front step of the stage is got people, praying and rededicating their lives or giving their lives to Christ right there. And so like the last 2 bands only had like 15 minutes or something to play because, God took over, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And that year was so impactful. And then it was the next year that we had to move to the Veterans Grounds because we were too loud. So
it might have been that you won God's heart that year. God was like, I'm gonna give you something even better.
Yeah, and I that's true for sure. But just the way that it worked out for the city, and it's almost like, God saying, shake the dust off and move on. And then Greentown got us. They got us good. We've had the police called on us out there a couple times because the neighbors out in the country don't like how loud we are for as late as we get. So, and the sheriff will come and ask what's going on, and we tell him, and then he's like, okay, and then he leaves.
Yeah, that's a good testimony. Anyway, for anybody that's listening, that's trying to fulfill a purpose, it's like, keep going. Like, there's going to be bumps in the road.
Keep trying. I mean, and if you step out and it doesn't work, then try something else. And if that doesn't work, try something else, because you're not going to know until you try it. And we do that, like with the festival, we'll try something this year and it doesn't work, we don't do that again. Or, you can't know if you don't try.
Right.
And eventually you'll fall into the one that's meant for you. And so that's what we did. But it's always funny to me when we get this question quite a bit, actually. We want to start a festival like KCF, over here in, Wisconsin or whatever. What do you do? What do I need to do? And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't really know how this happened. We go with two major thoughts. Number one, we do what we can and God does what we can't. And number two, it never hurts to ask. If they say no, then you're no worse off than you are. And at least, we're on their radar if God ever works on their heart and changes their mind or whatever.
Yeah. So. That's so true, because God will take you like into these territories. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing right now.
For real.
I'm just continuing to do the next thing. And that would be kind of hard to like look back and explain, like, this is what happened when God did so much of it. It wasn't even in your hands.
No, but like most all of it is not in my hands. I just reach out to the volunteers who need to do different things. And I ask for sponsors, but like I said, I can't, I have to, this is the time of year where I have to really start to remember my limits too. You know, if it's stressing me out, then it's not anything I'm supposed to be pursuing right now. And,
Right. That's
you know,
okay.
it'll be, not that we don't need to try and be challenged, but you know, in your spirit, if this is not right, because it's getting too complicated. There's, I don't know. It's just, we've done this, like I said, for 14 years. I've done 13 years. And you just know.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever to take your hands off the steering wheel, that's scary too in itself.
Yes. It was for the first several years. And now it's like, I mean, how can I doubt that? He's taken care of it every year.
That's so good.
We went into the festival last year about $6,000 short, and ended the festival with about $4,000 left in the bank still. So somewhere in the festival, he helped us get $10,000 to finish it off and have something left for Pit Fest and for Christmas.
That's so good.
So yeah.
Yeah. So how many volunteers do you usually need for that?
Well, it's so funny because sometimes it feels like there's just not enough. And then other times it feels like there's people just sitting around. But I would think our volunteer list probably is a good number, is probably like 70, 75. It just depends on if it's someone who can stay there the whole time or if they can just come for a shift. So I like to definitely have a backup, and we do like an on-call list, so if there's somebody that's there and can help, we don't really need them yet, then we have them give us their phone number so we can call them if we get in a pinch and need something. And we have a volunteer form online that people can fill out, and just in case we need some extra help. So
what does your role specifically entail?
Pretty much everything except for like some of the social media stuff, and a lot of the selection stuff, but that's only because A, I just take over, but B, I'm the only one that doesn't have a job outside of the home.
Yeah.
So Chris and Jay both work. My husband works and has a lot going on, and so it's just easier for me to do it. So I do everything from making sure hospitality has what they need, to concessions, to the welcome area, and medical and merch. And so, but I'm getting better. Andrea, about
you're like the
delegating.
president of the United States.
I'm getting better about delegating and not micromanaging. I started getting really good at delegating, but I wanted to be involved in every decision.
Yeah.
And people got mad at me. So understandably, do you want me to do this? They're like, do you trust me or not? Okay, I do. And they've done a fantastic job. I mean, they just do great. And so I just make sure that everybody has what they need, and work on whatever comes. I mean, I couldn't even list it all, I don't think, but Jay and Chris and Dave are great about, if I ask for anything, if I ask them to do anything, they just jump right in and do it. But and kind of really, I'm just following their lead. Like, this vision came to Chris and Jay, and they've shared the vision with me. And so I'm just making their vision happen, following the lead of them and, God, of course.
Yeah.
So, it could be anything. I need to call the porta pots guy here soon too. So, I mean, it could be, anything, it's not.
Do they have to set up in advance to go camping, or they just set up their tent right then and there wherever there's a spot available?
The people come into camp for free. Yeah, they can. The vets are pretty cool. People can come if even Wednesday night if they wanted to, or, Thursday morning. And they have one section. We have one section that's set aside for attendees to camp. And then if there's any bands and stuff that want to camp, they have a different section over by staff. Just not because we want to, try to, I don't know, discriminate about, but when these bands are there, just like Jesus had to take some time away to regroup and refocus, we want to make sure that the bands have a place they can do that. So their campsites and the band hospitality is a place for that. That's just for the bands to go and regroup and pray or whatever they need to do, and get filled so that they can do the spiritual thing. So, but then when they get there, there's like just some rules. Like if you have a big camper travel trailer, you want to park more towards the gravel, because we've had campers get stuck in the grass up there. So, and then otherwise it's just first come. We've not, so far, the grounds are pretty big. So far we've not had even been close to filling it up.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really not any big deal first come. We just ask that you space yourselves, respectfully from whoever's next to you or near you. And we get the dogs question a lot, and no, we don't have dogs. We don't allow dogs. Every once in a while, a veteran will bring their dog. Well, this is their place. I'm not going to tell the vets they can't bring their.
Right.
But for the attendees, that's a can of worms. I just don't really feel like we want to open up.
Right.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. Do you ever have issues with like people fighting there and stuff like that, being that they're around each other for like 2 days straight camping and stuff? Like,
not yet. Yeah,
that's good.
We have security that's there that can take over. We've had a few issues here and there, but nothing jumps to mind anyway about any kind of fights and stuff. The security is pretty good. If anything were to even think about starting, they'd get involved right away. And like I said, the way I feel, blanketed in love when I get on the fields, I kind of feel like God's protecting it, that way too. Even with the weather, it's so funny. Every year there's like massive storms, thunderstorms in the forecast, and then inevitably it'll either lightly rain or it'll just, you can watch the radar, it just goes right around us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. So where can people get a hold to donate?
Well, the easiest is probably if they just go to the website. It's www.kingdomcomefestival.com. And on the website, in one of the tabs across the top, there's a donate now. And if they click that, then there's a PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App option. And then our PO box is in there too, if they would prefer to like send a check or something. Or if they know us, they can just hand money to any one of us, and we can, any A1M staff or volunteer, and we can get it taken care of too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for letting me jibber jabber.
Prayers for Kingdom Come Fest, that everything goes smoothly, and I'll be seeing you there then too.
Yeah, thank you. We are the only two. Everybody asks, what do you need prayer for? And we always say finances, obviously, thanking God right now for what he's going to do.
Amen.
And preparing hearts.
Amen.
Just preparing the hearts. So anyway, well, thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
All right. Well, I'll be reaching out to you soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right,
thanks.
If you like this podcast, please hit subscribe, because we have an awesome guest coming up every week, and I don't want you to miss out. Also, stay tuned, because the event podcast for KCF will be posted out shortly in a couple weeks. So I look forward to sharing that with you. And if you haven't checked it out yet, OurDayDream does have merch, so you can check out the description below. I hope that you have an awesome week. I'll see you next time. God bless. Bye.